2022 wasn't a very good year for the superhero genre. Like other
Eat my hammer!
Taste it there. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1.
Yet, despite the ever-growing superhero fatigue and so much cringe,
We like ice cream like every child should. And if we get some ice cream,
we were saved by none other than Edward Cullen with The Batman. But before we get to all that, let's talk about the film's original idea, The Batman, 2018. This was actually meant to be Ben Affleck's solo film, which he would direct, co-write, and star in.
The movie I think is going to be called The Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah. The script is going well. I'm really excited about it, and I assure you that when there's anything that develops, you'll hear about it.
It would have centered around Arkham Asylum, with the main villain being Deathstroke, who would terrorize Batman's life after finding out his secret identity. This was actually hinted at in the post-credit scene of Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it was cut from the theatrical release.
His name is Bruce Wayne.
However, after facing complications with the script, Affleck stepped down as director, with Matt Reeves, a longtime Batman fan, replacing him. He's the man behind the found footage from Cloverfield and 2 out of the 3 Apes films, which I enjoyed.
I came for you.
Though Reeves wasn't entirely on board either.
And at that point, Ben was supposed to be doing the movie originally, and so I read the script and I totally understood why they wanted to do that version of the movie, but I knew that for me, everything I do, I have to have a personal way in. I have to have something in it that kind of allows me to have a compass so that as I'm going through and we're talking about every decision that we're making, I know that there's something in me that sort of is pointing to my North Star. And so I thought the meeting was about me saying, I think I'm not your guy.
Unfortunately, after an ongoing plethora of challenges in his personal life, along with the hellish development that was Justice League, Affleck stepped down completely.
Like I say, sometimes things sort of work and gel, and sometimes they just, you seem to be just having one problem after another, They said, do you want to direct and star in like a solo Batman movie? I found that I had kind of at just some point lost my enthusiasm or passion for it. I was like, this should really be made by somebody for whom it's their wildest dream, come true. And for me, it had become like something different, and it was clear to me that it was time to move on.
With Affleck out of the picture, Reeves was given full creative control from Warner Bros., allowing him to make the Batman movie he wanted. He wanted a dark, grounded, emotional detective thriller inspired by 70s noir films he grew up with.
I came of age really on the era of movies that he was talking about there, Taxi Driver and French Connection and all those things. Those are the movies of, my youth. And I kind of felt like it opened up that side too, the idea of doing a kind of gothic neo-noir, kind of like a 70s movie.
And it was well received overall, but recently I've been seeing more and more people criticize the movie. And it's been a year and a bit more since the movie came out, so I thought I'd sit down and see how it holds up. So without further ado, let us revisit Matt Reeves' The Batman. The movie starts out with a POV shot of someone spying on the mayor. We find out that this is the Riddler, played by Paul Dano. You know that guy who always gets beat up?
When you left there!
I actually like his outfit a lot. I know it's a drastic change from his look in the comics, but I think it fits the whole Zodiac vibe really well. The only other live action Riddler we got was Jim Carrey, which was something to say the least. One question about how he felt about Reeves' interpretation of the Riddler, Carrey said he was worried that some real-life sickos might try to adopt the Riddler's methods. But I think it's the other way around, like Riddler's interpretation is inspired by real people. But don't worry, Jim, the character has been inspiring people long before this movie came out.
The answer is, who is the Nick?
Thursday, October 31st.
We then have a lengthy monologue from the Drifter as he patrols through Gotham. I really like how this whole sequence shows how fearful criminals are just knowing Batman is out there, and how it's the psychological fear of the unknown that Batman utilizes.
They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows.
Then he does that one moment from the trailer. Batman is then brought to the mayor's study by Lieutenant Gordon, who's played by Jeffrey Wright. Some people were upset that this Gordon was race swapped, stating that this was another woke move by Hollywood.
But if you notice, they made Catwoman black, Commissioner Gordon black, everybody good's black.
But I disagree. I think it's just because he's a good actor. I mean, Michael Keaton's Batman did a similar thing with Harvey Dent being played by Lando himself. So I don't really know what the fuss is about. Okay, let's talk about the sparkly elephant in the room, Robert Pattinson. When he was announced as Batman, there was some slight backlash online, though I feel like most of his detractors were either people who saw him as the guy from Twilight, or people who were upset about Affleck's replacement. But I think he was a great choice for Batman. I really liked him in The Lighthouse.
Goddamn farts! Goddamn farts!
And he was phenomenal in the film Good Time.
How would you like it if I made you cry, huh? Would you like that?
No, I would not.
And hey, even Trump was obsessed with him at one point. So, has to count for something. And while other Batmen were able to rely on the villain's performance or the performance from the side characters, this Batman was put at center stage of the film. In a ranking of the various Batman screen time, Pattinson is ranked 3rd place with 129 minutes, and that's just in one film. Not to mention that this Batman has really dialogue-heavy scenes with a lot of emotion in them. So I think that Pattinson really had to shine in his acting, or else the entire film would just collapse in on itself. But he nailed it.
I think you're better than me.
I am better than you.
This has a lot to do with his voice as well. Reeves chose to go with a more whispery voice for Batman, rather than what we got with Bale.
You have a source. Spoke to the DA tonight. Gil's very nervous.
You never give it to an ordinary citizen! Where is it? Where's the trigger?
And on that note about performance, let's talk about the Batsuit itself. I know that Affleck's suit is more comic book accurate and it's really cool, but I just like the whole practical, homemade nature of this one.
It's very much based in US military or sort of late Vietnam to contemporary kind of military techniques in sort of ballistic protection.
That's old school engineering, so he's able to fire his hooks.
A lot of the complaints come from the cowl, how it's really stitched up, and I do admit it looks a little goofy in some scenes, but I like it. Much of the criticism is also pointed at how exposed his mouth is, but with a jawline as sharp as that, you're cutting through bullets. And we will later see how resilient that jawline is. So after Batman does some detective work and stares at a child for a little bit, we get one of my favorite scenes from the film. And another thing people don't give enough praise towards is this movie's Gotham. As much as I love Nolan's trilogy, besides the Narrows and Batman Begins, Gotham feels lifeless. I get that's just New York and Chicago combined, and you're meant to feel like you can walk outside and be right in Gotham, but I feel like that takes a lot of the life away. While the Batman's Gotham has modern yet gothic architecture, making it feel really run down.
We wanted to shoot in a place that had real historic Gothic architecture that we then built upon, create our own Gotham so you felt you were seeing a place that looked like a big city, but a city at the same time that you'd never seen before, a city that was ours.
This Batman film by far has the best cinematography, and in my opinion was totally snubbed at the Oscars. Even Roger Deakins, the cinematographer behind my favorite movie of all time, says so, which means I must be right. There's a lot of POV shots, mounted camera stuff, heavy use of shadows, and a lot of close-ups. I'm not an expert on this topic by any means, and I highly suggest these videos if you want to learn more. My ape brain just goes, wow, movie looks cool, good movie. At the Batcave, now an abandoned subway station, we get a look at the most emo Bruce Wayne yet. While the rest of the Batman had a dual persona between playboy billionaire and masked vigilante, this one is just a brooding, vengeful kid, which I think fits the tone of the film really well, and it's just an interesting take on the character, in my opinion.
But I figured, if you had experienced something like that in your childhood, there are different ways you could respond. You could become a playboy, you could do all these things, and obviously that could then become a secret mask to do, as you've seen in so many of the stories. But I thought, well, there's another response too. I almost thought of like the Kennedys or like British royalty and the idea of something happening that was tragic and that it had just the opposite effect, which is that he would withdraw. He'd become kind of a recluse.
Alfred is played by Andy Serkis in this film, and while he doesn't get enough screen time, he does a good job overall. Oh, and then Bruce gives him this line.
Alfred, stop. You're not my father.
Oh, big fat meanie.
So wow, Bruce, you're a prick. Alfred then helps solve the Riddler cipher, and oh my god. I have to say, while a lot of people tend to comment on Batman and Catwoman's relationship, I think the best relationship in the film is Batman and Gordon just working together. At the start of the film, they feel like two detectives just working alongside each other, though they barely trust one another.
You don't trust me? You mean like you trust me?
And by the end of the film, it feels like two men against this sea of corruption.
I don't trust any of them. Do you?
I only trust you.
You're a good cop.
Batman then just charges into the Iceberg Lounge. The fight scenes in this film feel much more raw and brutal compared to the others. While Affleck's Batman feels more powerful and calculated, this one just feels angrier and unhinged. I mean, look at that face. It's not that the action was bad in Nolan's trilogy by any means, it's just the editing is terrible. I mean, I can't even tell what the fuck is going on in this scene. So I'm glad in this film, the scenes hold the shots back a lot and allow us to see the action. Batman is interrupted by the Penguin, played by Colin Farrell no less.
Oh, tell me, how's saying? That's for John Lennon, you Yankee fucking cunt. A bottle! No, don't bother.
Who, I might add, is totally unrecognizable through the amazing prosthetic makeup.
Honestly, when I saw Mike Marino's work and what he had created and how the Penguin was going to look facially, what his visage was going to be, I was so blown away. But I will say it was one of the most exciting, jubilant, celebratory experiences I've had in making pictures in 20 years.
Hey, yeah, young man.
He adds a lot of comic relief in this film, which I appreciate.
Oh shit, it is. Look at that.
We then get introduced to Selena Kyle, played by Zoe Kravitz. She was met with the same complaints as Jeffrey Wright with the race swapping, but I think she fits the look really well. She looks exactly like how she is in year one, other than being, black.
Catwoman black, Commissioner Gordon black, everybody good's black.
We then get a neat Batman and Riddler parallel, with Batman spying on Selena. Using Selena as a way in, Batman investigates the corruption in Gotham as she goes through the 44 Below, where we're introduced to the DA, Gil Coulson, who's played by Peter Skarsgård. I only know him from The Killing. Spoiler, he dies in that too. Selena then runs into Falcone. He's played by John Turturro. He was in Big Lebowski.
You said it, man. Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
He's also in The Night Of, which I liked a lot. He's also in Transformers, where he gets pissed on. And he's also under giant Transformer testicles.
I am directly below the enemy scrotum.
A fall from grace, if you ask me. Anyways, Batman doesn't like the idea of stalking a woman who's single, so he gets frustrated, resulting in them losing connection.
No!
Gil is attacked by the Riddler, who gives him a Pizzagate treatment in the form of a neck bomb. We get in a scene of Alfred helping Bruce with the Riddler cipher, which means we have to get in a scene of Bruce being a dickhead.
You have to keep up appearances. You're still a Wayne.
What about you? You're Wayne?
Your father gave them to me.
It's not that I hate this line in any way. I mean, I get it. He's an angsty teen. He kind of pushes everyone away, doesn't let anyone get close to him, not even Alfred. But still, I think this is done way better in Batman Begins.
Why do you give a damn, Alfred? It's not your family.
I give a damn because a good man once made me responsible for what was most precious to him. in our world.
Bella Real speaks to Bruce Wayne, where we get some impressive display of social skills.
Bruce Wayne, why haven't you called me back?
Sorry?
It's really interesting to see a Bruce Wayne who's so reclusive and uncaring about his public appearances, and it just really shows how obsessed he is with being Batman.
He's just compelled to do it. That's a kind of important differentiation of this Batman. Basically, the options are kind of death or being Batman.
Gil crashes the party where everyone just stands around after a lady shouts he has a bomb around his neck.
There's a bomb around his neck!
I mean, personally, if I were in that crowd, I'd just bolt out of the room like my life depended on it, which it does. Riddler then FaceTimes Gil. I just love imagining Riddler just laying on his bed, calling the phone with like his feet kicking in the air. I mean, he must be sitting there for hours waiting for Batman. He's just letting it ring, ring, ring. Like, come on, pick up, pick up. He's also live streaming this whole event. I mean, gotta get that bag somehow, right? He plays a little game with Gil, who only answers 2 out of 3 riddles with the help of Batman, which I think is cheating, right? Like, what if Batman didn't show up? He refuses to give up the rat and explodes. I have issues with this scene. We later learn that Riddler believes Batman is an ally.
We've been doing this together. You're part of this.
You're part of this too.
So why does he just let Batman take a bomb to his face? I mean, maybe he didn't know completely that he was on his side, but I mean, you could have put a smaller explosive or something. Secondly, thank God Bruce put some blast and fire resistant potions on that jawline. He just took an explosion to the face and it isn't even scarred. I get that he covers it with his arms, but still. They could have fixed this scene by just having Bruce shove Gil right before the bomb goes off, but oh well. Batman is then taken to the GCPD where he gets into a scuffle with the police. Okay, but why does this guy grab his ear of all things? Gordon helps Batman escape after being told a nice joke.
Who's the mustache with the broken nose?
I like that this scene shows Batman actually escaping rather than vanishing, even though he does that later in the film. But it's nice to see, I guess. To escape the cops, Batman deploys a wingsuit that I admit looks very funny, but it's a cool scene nonetheless. Batman proceeds to eat shit. And as much as I like to see this imperfect Batman fail his getaway, he again has no visual damage. He just ate a lamp to the face and the next scene he's perfectly fine. And I get it, you know, he has plot armor, he's Batman, it's a superhero film, whatever. But for a movie that's so dedicated to having everything being practical and realistic, going to the lengths of having Batman fail his landing, which I respect, but they don't show any of the consequences that being Batman brings. And I think it's just lost potential here. This is a Batman that's in his younger years, he's totally obsessed with being Batman. This would have been the perfect film to see the physical and mental toll it takes being Batman. But, you know, I guess it's fine. But shut the fuck up. Enough ranting. Here's the amazing Batmobile. The people who not only constructed this whole sequence, but built 4 working versions of the car for the film deserve so much praise.
We built 1 electric car, then we built 3 petrol cars. The trick is that they all look the same.
And don't get me wrong, I like the tank Batmobile too, but to see that this is just a modified muscle car was just awesome.
We had 100-odd vehicles driving around a half-mile set with pyrotechnics and effects going off and stunt drivers.
We really try to execute stuff as much in camera as possible so that the believability of this world remains at the highest level possible.
And I want to give a big shout out to the sound department because, I mean, it's just beautiful. And thank you, Matt Reeves, for the genius idea of putting a bunch of camera mounts on this car. Oh, and then we get the best shot of the film. The music overall was pretty good in my opinion. It's not epic or grandiose like the other films, but it feels more personal, more intimate, which I think reflects the film pretty well. It was all composed by Mike Giacchino. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He's done like a shit ton of Disney movies, including my favorite Disney film, Ratatouille, which is interesting. Batman and Gordon interrogate Penguin, who again offers some comical relief.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on! Open your eyes!
They then get into a text conversation with the Riddler, which again makes me wonder if he's just sitting in his room waiting for them all day. Like, how did he know they're here? Right, he was just here at the perfect time. Okay. Sadly, after this point, the pacing of the film slows down pretty drastically, because up to now, the riddles unraveled at a pretty good pace. We got 2 action scenes and a great chase scene. But now we take a break from the Riddler and focus on how it all ties back to Bruce, who is actually Riddler's next victim, and he's given a mail bomb as a present. How thoughtful. Bruce is contacted by Selina, where she calls him Vengeance.
Yeah, I thought you were Vengeance.
Which I thought was kind of cringe. She also sparked a lot of controversy online with this line.
All anyone cares about in this place are these white, privileged assholes.
Mr. Gordon, black. Everybody good's black.
I mean, come on. DC has had cringier lines.
Kal-El, no!
Anyways, they share a kiss, and she goes off. Bruce then watches a highly edited video from Riddler, which is basically a Wayne family roast. Did Riddler hire someone on like Fiverr to produce this? Like, were all these effects really necessary?
Murdered!
He then goes to Falcone with a neat callback from earlier.
You know who I am?
No, I am.
Who essentially repeats what the Riddler said, but also adds that he thinks Maroni had his parents killed.
You say Salvatore Maroni got my father killed?
Do I know it for a fact? I'm just saying it sure looked that way to me.
Bruce then goes to Alfred and gives him the rudest awakening ever.
You lied to me my whole life.
Imagine being Alfred in this scene. You just took a bomb for Bruce, got put in a coma for a day or so, wake up, and immediately start getting roasted. Like, Bruce, you don't have to twice cook him. That's terrible. I mean, look how happy he is to see Bruce again. And he's all like,
"You piece of shit! You fucking goddamn fucker! Listen, fuckhead!"
Anyways, this scene boils down to everything Riddler and Falcone said, but Alfred adds that his father never planned on having the reporter killed and thinks that Falcone might have been responsible for his parents' death. It's a touching scene between the two, but I feel like their relationship wasn't that strong to begin with, so the emotional impact isn't as great. And the fact that Bruce has told the same story 3 times feels a bit much. Batman and Gordon meet at the Bat Signal to find Catwoman beating up Kenzie. We are then revealed the big twist that Falcone is the rat all along.
The Falcon has wings too.
Falcone is the rat.
Batman also makes his no-kill rule very clear in this film, which I like.
Let's finish this.
No.
Live-action iterations of Batman haven't been the best with this rule. Early on, it didn't really matter since admittedly the dude kills a lot of people in the comics.
When one of them survives, Batman ropes him up by the neck and hangs him from his bat plane. He later kills one last henchman with a gas pellet that makes him fall off the roof. You sure got them all, Batman.
But let's take a brief history lesson and go over Batman's murderous track record, shall we? In Batman the movie, Batman and Robin accidentally kill these 2 goons who become antimatter.
To instantly reduce them to antimatter.
Antimatter? You mean they won't be coming back?
No, Robin.
Keaton's Batman kills a good amount of people too. In Batman 89, he kills a handful of henchmen, including throwing a dude off a bell tower. In returns, he sets this dude ablaze and gives the most sadistic smile before blowing this guy up. In Batman Forever, Kilmer bamboozles Two-Face into falling to his own death. In Batman Begins, Bale infamously says,
"I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you."
In The Dark Knight, Two-Face takes another tumble. And when Zack Snyder was making BVS, he thought, no kill rule. You mean no kill rule? So I'm glad that Reeves finally got it right. Catwoman heads off to kill Falcone with Batman in pursuit. We see him learning as he decides to go in stealthy for the first time, which I like. So Catwoman is about to kill Falcone when he's interrupted by Gotham News airing the recording of Annika being killed. Which makes me think, if Falcone is so powerful, he didn't think of controlling televised news? Speaking of which, Gotham News broadcasts everything. Every murder to graphic detail. Maybe that's just a normal occurrence in Gotham. So, whatever. So Catwoman is about to kill Falcone again and somehow misses a straight shot. And Greg Fraser does what he does best, a hallway scene. I think this scene highlights my biggest issue with this movie, and that's plot armor. Batman is just taking these shots way too easily without any consequence. And I get it, Bruce is a billionaire, and we live in America, right? Like, everyone has a gun. It makes sense for him to build the most bulletproof suit in existence. But this armor feels too perfect for a year 2 Batman. Like, there's no flaws to it. There's no reason for him to change suits in the next movie, because this one has everything. In Batman Begins, Bale's suit is really tanky as well. But it's at the compromise of mobility. And we see this in The Dark Knight, where his suit is made more mobile and less resilient, leaving potential for the old British treatment.
Now, there is a trade-off. Separation of the plates makes you more vulnerable to knives and gunfire.
We wouldn't want to make things too easy now, would we?
Like, the only flaw in this whole suit is his cowl, which knocks him out a lot, which again is a nice detail. Like, getting shot in the head would recoil you back and cause some sort of internal damage. But no, having gunfire raining down on your chest is fine. We get a very Seven-inspired scene with Riddler purposely giving himself up.
Which one is you? You tell me.
Riddler's apartment is a clear homage to Seven as well, and it shows the clear parallels between Batman and Riddler.
Friday, July 16th. My life has been a cruel riddle I could not solve.
Maybe it's beyond saving, but I have to try. Push myself.
Empty promise they sold to me as a child in that orphanage. One look inside and finally I understood.
Maybe this is all coming to an end.
What is?
The Batman.
So Batman visits Riddler at Arkham, where essentially Riddler confesses how much of a simp he is. This is expanded much more in the Riddler prequel comic that released after the film. It gives more backstory on Ashton, and in it, he really looks up to Batman.
It's probably one of those transcendent moments in his life, an aha moment, where you project something onto that figure out there and you see some hidden piece of yourself or something that you want to be. Without the Batman, you would never have the Riddler.
Anyways, the moment Batman realizes Riddler doesn't know who he is, his inner prick Bruce Wayne comes out and he just goes off.
You're out of your goddamn mind. This is all in your head. You're sick, twisted.
How can you say that?
You're a pathetic psychopath.
Begging for attention.
Riddler's breakdown is absolutely hysterical. I remember watching it in the theater and I didn't know if it was meant to laugh or be terrified. A lot of people called this scene cringe, but I think it really works. It just shows how unhinged Riddler really is. The scene of Riddler talking to his followers is hilarious too.
Hey guys.
I like how the modern interpretation of Riddler is just an internet incel with a schoolgirl crush on Batman. We've come so far.
We've spent our lives in this wretched place suffering!
Riddler then goes from serial killer to domestic terrorist. A lot of people criticize this scene because it is kind of jarring how Riddler goes from killing corrupt politicians to blowing up Gotham. But I don't think Riddler was ever meant to be this justified character. He hates Gotham. He just wants everyone to suffer, innocent or not. Then Batman attends the Riddler fan meetup and starts beating everyone up. I do think this end fight is pretty cool, but a lot of the tension from this scene whittles away because Batman is just tanking all these shots again. Then he goes flying from a shotgun, which you can see dented through his armor. In the original screenplay, the buckshot actually pierced his armor, showing blood. I wish we saw this in the final film, because again, that armor is too resilient, but maybe that would have affected the PG-13 rating. I don't know. Selina saves him, but is grabbed by Shotgun Man. Batman jabs himself with adrenaline. Yes, that's adrenaline. Sorry everyone, I was hoping it was Venom too. And he just goes ham on this guy.
Take it easy.
He really should be dead, right? But it's okay. Batman can kill after all. I mean, he's done it before. But you know. Batman then saves the people by cutting the cable, going through a literal baptism, and transcending from vengeance to a hero. We then get a pretty good monologue from Batman, where he completes his arc of the movie. I do have to say, I think this whole scene is too lighthearted, especially with the new mayor talking about restoring faith in Gotham. Like, bitch, my apartment is underwater. I live with the fishes now. And then we get the Joker. I agree with most people's sentiment that we've gotten too many Jokers in the past. And this whole scene just feels forced, you know, like they quickly filmed a short thing with him as a tease for the next movie. But that's not the case, fortunately. And he was actually in an earlier scene that was cut from the film, which would have added some context. Speaking of which, let's talk about the 2 deleted scenes from the movie, starting with the Joker. This scene would have taken place after Batman and Gordon go to the morgue, where Batman would visit Joker to help profile the Riddler. He's played by Barry Keoghan. He's in the Banshees of Inisherin with Colin Farrell, funnily enough. He's really good at playing wacky, odd characters, I have to admit. But he is very creepy as the Joker. The same people who did Penguin's makeup did this one, so yeah, very disgusting. Sadly though, Joker just spoils the entire movie 30 minutes in, completely deconstructing Riddler's motivations.
You think his motive is political?
Oh, no. This is very, very personal. He feels these people have all wronged him.
Why is he writing to me?
Maybe he's a fan of yours? Or maybe he's got a grudge against you, too. Maybe you're the main course.
It's a real shame because I love this interaction between the two and how Joker ultimately understands Batman and what scares him. I do get why this scene was cut because showing the Joker so early on would deviate so many people's attention from Riddler, you know. And obviously he spoils the whole twist, so it makes sense to me.
It was one of these things where narratively it wasn't necessary. You got everything that Barry was telling him, that the Joker was telling him over the course of the movie, and given the great length of the movie, it helped the story to take the scene out. But I always really loved the work that Barry and Rob did in the scene.
The other deleted scene would have featured an interaction between the Penguin and Selina. This would have taken place before she goes into the 44 below, and it's a good scene between the two, but again he does some more foreshadowing.
Falcone ain't gonna be around forever. One day this city's gonna be mine.
I can understand more why this scene was cut, like it didn't really add to the story at all, especially with that Penguin spin-off show coming out. We didn't need to hear how he's so ambitious and hates Falcone, and we already know that. The film ends, again, with Selina going off on her own, while Batman stays in Gotham. It's a pretty bittersweet ending, and I think it was appropriate for their relationship. Phew, 3 hours down the drain. But I think it holds up pretty well. I know that had some complaints, but they were mainly nitpicks, and it's fine. And I don't think that the Batman could have come out at a better time. As the post-Endgame MCU continued to decline due to underbaked characters and storytelling, overworked VFX artists, and a real lack of creative vision, resulting in this sameness feeling throughout. I think people just got tired of it.
Does that look real? In that particular shot, no, actually. No, none of us. Something looks very off about this.
And I think the Batman is like a breath of fresh air after all that. You can feel the passion and craftsmanship of the crew throughout the entire film. Everyone gave it their all. From the actors.
Strange period to be a part of something which has this fan base that still has such an anticipation for it. And yeah, it's a real privilege to be a part of it.
To the production design.
The costume team is incredible on this film. I take quite a huge responsibility in effectively putting all those people's craft on screen.
By far the hardest thing I've ever been a part of. Never worked on anything so long where we're in production because of what we went through. I thank you from the bottom of my heart because I care so much about what we do. This movie means so much to me, but you guys showed me that you care just as much. Thank you so much.
To that fucking Batmobile, man. A lot of people's complaints about this film are usually this movie is too long, it's too slow, too dark, too much rain, and I get that. But funnily enough, those are my favorite aspects of this film. I respect Matt Reeves for letting the movie take its time. It doesn't rush from scene to scene, letting us soak in the atmosphere. This is my favorite Batman film yet. Reeves really pushed the whole 70s vibe to 11. It really felt like a neo-noir movie first, then a superhero movie second. And I want to just acknowledge the fact that this Batman isn't for everyone. I get that not everyone is a fan of this 3-hour long, slow burn, gritty, dark detective film. I love those types of films, so naturally this one resonated with me in a different way. We have so many interpretations of the character that pretty much anyone can latch onto and relate with. And it's perfectly fine if you don't like this movie. That's the strange beauty in the clusterfuck of what we call the live-action Batman franchise. If you want a grounded detective 70s noir, Reeves. If you want more of an action blockbuster with one of the best villains in cinematic history, Nolan. If you want a cynical murderer Batman, Snyder. If you like a little bit of campiness in your Batman with a hint of dark, Burton. If you want full camp, Adam West. If you want bat nipples, there's a site for that, I'm sure. And hey, if you hate every live action interpretation, there's a ton of animated movies out there for you. And if you hate moving pictures, there's the Arkham trilogy. And if you hate all of that, hey, there's the fucking comics. Go read that. There's a Batman for everyone, is what I'm getting at. And I think there's something to admire about that. I want to end this video on a glitch. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. The 4 of you who do. I know the writing and editing is all over the place, especially the audio, like it's total shit. I've retaken these lines over and over again, but I just really want to get everything I've been wanting to say about this movie out somewhere. I've been wanting to make this video since the movie came out. So yeah, cut me some slack, please. Anyways, I am Bisho, and I'll see you in the next millennia. Have a good one.